All right, here we go. Ready to go? Ready to start?
Ready to go. Let's do this.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Anti Shuffle podcast. This is today's episode is an international episode. Well, actually, it's not really international. One of us is international. The other one is from a different city, reporting from a different city. I'm coming at you live, reporting from Riyadh, ladies and gentlemen. I'm usually based in Jeddah.
Yeah.
Coming at you live with me here, my co-host, my my companion, Mansoor. Where are you, Mansoor? Where are you right now? What's the scene like where you are?
I'm in the UK. It's wet and rainy, but awesome nonetheless.
All right, cool guys. So we have another episode here. You know the drill. We're gonna talk a little bit about some news. We're gonna talk about some of our favorite releases from this week, and then we're gonna go into um, a quick topic. We want to talk a little bit about some of our one of our favorite um, hobbies is collecting records. I know that Mansoor is a vinyl and record collector. Me myself as well. I have like a small humble collection of records as well. And so we're going to talk a little bit about vinyls and if they sound better than actual CDs or any of the digital
Hmm.
lossless audio. But without any further ado, let's get right into the news. All right, Mansoor. So what do we have here? We have you shared this piece of news. Why don't you tell us a little bit about it?
So apparently, and maybe this is actually kind of related to what we're going to talk about later, but uh, the new Opeth album has been delayed due to some manufacturing problem, some manufacturing issue. So yeah, I mean this has affected obviously the release and the plans of the band to release the album. So it looks like we'll have to wait a bit longer to hear the album. So not the best news to start with, but it is what it is. It's that side of the business that gets overlooked sometimes, and
I
these
personally
things
don't
do
understand
happen.
why they delayed it. I personally don't understand why
Um,
they delayed it because usually, bands will release their record and then say like, yeah, here pre-order the record. It comes out, um, you know, I don't know, a few months later. So I'm not sure why they decided to like delay the release to coincide with the release of the record.
it does happen sometimes. I mean, this is one of the things that COVID kind of affected. Back when when everything was shut down, records were being delayed. Sorry, records were being delayed due to like plants closing down and quarantine and all of that. So, but I think this is more to do with the supplier of those records having some problems. So they had
Mm.
to delay the release of this one. And I remember this happened a long time ago with the One Fear Factory release. It got delayed because of some manufacturing issues. So these things are a bit rare, but they do happen. You know,
Okay.
every once in a while, I guess.
All right.
So yeah,
I don't know. I'm kind of looking forward to this release. I'm not the biggest Opeth fan, but like the two singles they released so far are interesting. And yeah, definitely curious about it. All right, let's move right along here. A bit more of fun news here. Slayer releasing their own brand of hot sauce. Um, I well, how high does it rate on the Scoville scale or whatever that scale they use for spicy sauce? Doesn't say.
Burning Red probably. That was a Slayer reference.
Yeah, they should have this on Hot Ones. So, but this is not the first time we've seen this. I feel like what was it? We covered something like a restaurant releasing a sandwich. commemorating like Chimera. I feel like the Mastodon has like a damn. I don't know. I'm like I'm not remembering it right now, but I think there's a few bands of this status that have released some kind of food items as well.
Yeah, there have been actually. I think it's becoming more common now, and there have been actually bands that have released their own line of coffee.
Ah,
I
yes.
think that's the
Go-
one you're referring to in terms of Mastodon.
yeah, they have their own brand of
So yeah,
coffee, right?
yeah. And because coffee is the biggest selling commodity, so not why not jump on the bandwagon, right? And even like hot sauce is a big thing, especially in the states. Like that's a big hot sauce consuming society, but hot sauce is popular everywhere.
Yeah.
So it's funny because I remember reading an article from I think it was the guitarist from Heathen who said like right at this stage we're just selling we merchandise as a band. We our job is to sell merchandise and things like that. So
Exactly.
it's bands
Yeah.
diversifying their income. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like it's a weird time. Like it starts off okay. So bands like make money from merch, right? So in order to sell more merch and to get more money, they would sell, for example, I remember like there was a period of time where like bands would go crazy with the pre-order packages of their albums, where like it would have like collector items. I don't know what. I remember like for some reason the one that comes to my mind right now is the Chimera. One of the records that they were releasing was it I forgot the name of the which record it was but المهم انه it was like biohazard themed or like it had like an injection syringe in there and it came like in a nice box. Black Dahlia Murder for their record I think Ritual they had like a big like Ouija board kind of thing looking thing. um uh, I mean, recently now Mastodon for their 40th anniversary for their anniversary for their record "Crack the Sky," they had like also like a big weird collector item kind of thing.
Mm.
But now you're starting to see like weirder and weirder items being added to their merch selection. So hot sauces, cups, food items. I don't know what
Yeah,
like weird things like that, just to see like how else they can make money.
they're just trying to do whatever's necessary to make money. I guess
Yeah,
it's
there's no
just
money in music
diversifying
anymore.
your income as a band. Yeah, music is obviously خلاص. They're at a click of a button. They don't they barely make pennies from each listen. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess it makes
So
sense when bands start becoming more of a lifestyle choice. But yeah, whatever. Cool, man. Slayer, hot sauce. But in more positive news, in more less commercial type. I mean, I don't know. It's all commercial, right? But in any case, System of a Down's Toxicity joins the 1 billion plays club on Spotify, which is
mhm.
uh, which is kind of crazy if you think about it. 1 billion
Yeah,
plays. I think their
yeah.
first like the other single from this same record, it actually mentions it here. The
So yeah,
second most popular song to date behind the aforementioned album's lead single "Chop Suey." "Chop Suey" reached that 1 billion stream club like um, a while back. So
yeah.
now this is their second single. If any metal band were to reach this 1 billion stream, yeah, definitely any modern like metal band, like new metal band or whatever, definitely in my mind, System of a Down would be it, right? Their their songs are so popular and they're so well known. Um, and yeah, this is just really cool to see. I mean, that record is one of my favorite records of all time. Their first record, their untitled that hand record, and this record, Toxicity, is like the two of the best records of all time.
And it still sounds fresh to this day. Like when you listen to it, it doesn't feel dated at all. You know, and that album is more than 20 years old at this point.
Yeah,
I'm not
yeah, it holds
surprised.
up.
It holds up pretty well, and Yeah, but for a metal band like System of a Down to reach this kind of level of popularity, given their songs and all that, it's pretty wild, to be honest.
Yeah, their songs are pretty off kilter, right? Like they have this Mr. Bungle
Yeah,
kind of like weird influences, and the vocals are kind of weird sometimes. You know, a bit the lyrics are kind of weird as well sometimes. Um,
yeah,
but I guess they're so good at writing catchy and hooky kind of like stuff that like hooks you in. Um, Recently, Serge did a podcast interview as well where he talked about why the band stopped touring, and it's interesting to know that he's probably the main reason why the band is not touring as heavily anymore.
mm,
Because whatever, he's getting older, like his back problems, and he can't like do these cyclical kind of touring schedules where they write an album and then they tour for 2 years. It takes a toll on them, and he feels like creatively as well. He wants to explore other stuff. So, in any case, now like different
yeah.
members of the band have their own side projects. The bassist has like this weird, really heavy sounding metal band side project. I forgot what it's called right now, but it's something that we're probably going to check out down the line at some point. But yeah, cool. Toxicity joins the 1 billion plays club on Spotify. And with that, we put a wrap on our news segment. Let's talk a little bit about music. All right, dude. So, what you've been listening to recently?
Well, because I've been kind of traveling and stuff, I haven't been listening to too much new music. But I'm gonna start with this album called, by David Bowie, called Hunky Dory. This
Mm,
is a classic David Bowie album. Considered one of the best maybe rock albums of all time. I don't know. I was feeling kind of nostalgic for some reason. I just ended up listening to it a lot. This last couple of days. Um, it's a very nice listen. Very piano or keyboard driven. It has some of his staples or in classic songs like "Life on Mars," "Changes," uh, Andy Warhol, those kind of songs, which have become kind of not only fan favorites but kind of rock classics. So that's a very nice album from start to finish. Um I've also been listening to the new live album from King Crimson, which apparently was recorded sometime in the 80s. So this is like 80s King Crimson. It's called Sheltering Skies. It's Yeah, I mean, King Crimson was is one of those bands from like the one of those prog rock bands that started in the '60s and continued to this day. But they've sort of, unlike most prog bands from that era, they didn't sell out, so to speak. They didn't compromise their sound during the '80s and become like obnoxious arena rock bands. They adapted, but they didn't compromise their sound, or let's say they
yeah,
didn't compromise their essence. So it's an interesting documentation, and some fans love their '80s music more than their maybe their other work. So this is a
yeah,
cool release. It's a live album at the end of the day, but it's nice to listen to. But the last album that I've been listening to, uh, that is more new, is the new Crowbot album, which is called Obsidian. This is kind of a
This came out in 2022, I think, right?
no, it came out recently.
20 like 24 this year.
Yeah,
Okay.
uh, literally a few weeks ago.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
And
yeah. Okay.
yeah, I mean, this band is pretty good. Very, you know, riff driven, very heavy. Lots of heavy riffs. More on the hard rock. It's sort of it's you can say it's hard rock metal, but it's it when it gets heavy, it gets pretty heavy. Uh, I enjoy the songs. They're fun to listen to and all. But the singer sometimes, yeah, the singer has a very powerful voice. Think of like Lane Staley from Alice in Chains
Ah, yeah.
and maybe Dio, those kind of singers who have really powerful voices. But sometimes he kind of overdoes it. Um, so that's my only comment. But otherwise, it's a pretty decent album to listen to.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Yeah,
this is
going
what
back
I've
to
been
King
listening.
Crimson, I should. I feel like I should listen to more King Crimson. Definitely, King Crimson, especially like especially people who are into prog rock or prog metal. They should definitely go back and listen to those records. But yeah, like definitely, I need to start going back and really dive deeper into their discography for sure.
Yeah.
But in any case, so I've been listening to a few things as well. So one band that I've gone back and kind of been digging through their discography is High on Fire.
Mm-hmm.
Legendary band, obviously, that doesn't really need that much introduction. But I feel like they don't, like in our region here in the kind of, let's say, in the Gulf region and in our area, like in the metal scene here in Saudi and in GCC. I feel like they don't get enough recognition. Um,
Mm.
and we should probably do, like, they have enough of a bigger discography that we can do like a top five High on Fire records presented by the Anti Shuffle podcast, and have that at least up there so that people go and explore their discography. But yeah, incredible records, and it's just great sounding records, amazing riffage, like just riff monster that Matt Pike is. Amazing bass as well. Each part of this band does such a great job, and then the drumming, while it's pretty technical, but not like when you say technical, you assume like it's gonna be like odd time signatures and like really fast, ferocious blast beats or something like that, or very no, it's like it's just technical, but in a way that fits the pocket and fits the music. I just love every record. Every record after Death is this communion, like is incredible. Um, and yeah, I recommend everybody to go out and check out these records, especially the new record that just came out. It's pretty
Yeah,
incredible
man.
sounding,
Come.
and it explores Matt Pike's, like, gets out of his comfort zone. Some of these songs, like where he sings a little bit as well.
Yeah.
Really cool record.
I just want to add, man, Cometh the Storm is really an awesome record, and
That's the
it's
newest
gonna
record,
be
by the way. Yeah,
maybe
yeah, yeah.
yeah the latest album is one of my favorite albums of this year so far, and the closing track on that album is just mind blowing. It's
Yeah.
just awesome.
I knew you. You know what? I knew that you would say that you have a thing for like closing tracks that are long and epic. So I knew that you were gonna say that. I had a feeling. I had a feeling. But yeah, we should definitely.
There
You
you
know what? We should. Then I'm gonna double down on this. Maybe we should do at some point when we have like an episode that's free. We should do a top five High on Fire record, as presented by the Anti Shuffle podcast.
go.
And
Top five
and
songs or albums?
albums, like top five records. Which ones we think are the top five records? Like ranking them, basically
Let's
ranking
see.
the High on Fire records.
I'm up for that.
Cool. So I'll go through this pretty quickly. So the other band that I've been listening to, there's this really incredible modern death metal record band called Tribal Gaze, and I've been
Mm.
listening to the last record they released called Not the Nine Choirs. Incredible band, death metal band from Texas, apparently. Um, just
Mhm.
ferocious and groovy and catchy, and they don't do like the super fast death metal thing, but they do like a really nice job of writing really catchy death metal songs. Their vocals remind me of another hardcore band called Zabalba, but obviously with a more of a death metal twinge. Incredible band, incredible record. Go check it out if you're into modern death metal. Really good stuff. Um,
Who would you compare them to? Because I haven't listened to this yet. So, I mean, who are some of the bands that maybe sound close to them?
I mean, in terms of the modern death metal bands, Um, I would, if I would, I'm not gonna say Tumult. Tumult are a bit more on the sci-fi and a bit more technical than them.
Yeah,
Um, the thing is, they're interesting. They're kind of, I'm not sure. Like, nothing, no band comes to mind right now, but they're a band that obviously have hardcore influences, and but they want to play death metal music. So
yeah.
that's why, like, it's interesting that the way they sound is kind of unique and interesting, and I'm sure there are other bands that sound like them, but like I'm having a hard time right now coming up with a band that sounds like them right now, but definitely worth checking out. um the Mastodon, and apparently Mastodon and Lamb of God collaborated on a song called
Yeah, I knew
Floods
you
of
were going to talk
Triton.
about this. Yeah,
Dude, horrible song, like, god awful, like it is. Like, you see like these two names. First of all, I haven't, yani, Ashes of the Wake and Ruin are two of my favorite records of all time. They're great records, but after that, khalas, like Lamb of God has kind of fallen off for me. Like, nothing they've written after these two records were interesting. um
yeah.
And Mastodon, we've talked about this before. One of our favorite bands of all time. They've released some of the most incredible records, but
Mhm.
honestly, after Crack the Sky, they haven't been able to kind of capture that magic, right? And then this song comes
Oh,
out, and it's just the most typical cliche, uninteresting. This song feels like, when you're watching a movie and like there's a fake metal band, and they're releasing and the part of the plot is that there's a fake metal band or something like that. This is what this song feels like to me, and this is like what a fake metal band in a movie would release or make. It's just, it's so uninspired and so average, and like, and if you like the song, then I'm sorry, you need to expand your palette. Honestly, like, it's not a great
shame
song.
on you.
Yeah, shame on you. Then you're like playing into the most average metal music out there. You know what I mean? Ugh, I don't know. I was really disappointing.
You know what? This collaboration to me. Okay, full disclosure. I'm not. I was never a fan of Lamb of God, to be honest. For some reason, I just could never get into their music. But when I saw this, I was like, this looks more like one of those crossover things you get when, like, in comic books and movies, when Superman meets Batman, or when, like, the Family Guy meets The Simpsons, and those kind of things. This is exactly what, like, the idea is interesting, but then the execution, it completely falls flat on its face. You know what I mean? Like, even
Yeah.
Wolverine meets Deadpool. All those kind of things. This is the equivalent of that when it comes to, like, metal. And yeah, it's so metal by the numbers. It's just,
Ugh.
I there's nothing there. And but some collaborations work, like when Muzaj meets Mansoor, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That kind of.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. These are the collaborations that we want to see. Yeah, yeah. But I agree with you. Like, it's interesting. Both of these bands are at the stage in their career, for me at least, where like after their first few records, they've done nothing interesting. So I'm not surprised that this is completely uninspired. But yeah, Lamb of God for me, like, I know you didn't get into them, but for me, as the Palaces Burn and Ashes of the Wake are some of
Yeah.
the most of the important records in modern American metal as well. So, all right,
But I think the context here, sorry, just to mention, the context is those two bands are currently touring to celebrate, like, those albums, those Leviathan and what was the album, the Mastodon, that Lamb of God released 20 years ago.
20
This
years
is kind of
ago,
like,
probably As the Palaces Burn or Ashes of one of those.
oh,
Yeah, so it's either As the Palaces Burn or Ashes of the Wake.
yeah. So they came up with this pointless song.
Yeah, very pointless. But moving along to something that I really enjoyed, some like knuckle dragging, like not smart music at all, but like really enjoyable, and I really enjoyed listening to this record. Koblai Khan, Texas, or Koblai Khan TX, or however you just Koblai Khan,
Yeah.
released their new record, Exhibition of Prowess, and it's just
Mhm.
the most hype. Like, this band, they write their music in a way where it's designed to do one thing and one thing only: get you moving and get you to have fun. That's it. Like, I don't
Yeah.
think you're supposed to think about it too much. You're not supposed to be like cerebral about it. You're not supposed to like internalize it and think about the meaning behind the songs. Literally, the lyrics are so dumb. The music as well is written in such a dumb way, but it is so much fun to listen to, and it just sounds good. That, like, this is the perfect gym music. This is the perfect music as well to listen to if you want to hype yourself up or something. And live, like, I think the music also like is designed to be played live for sure. um
Hmm.
yeah, so if you're yeah, just definitely a record that I would recommend checking out. Kublai Khan, Exhibition of Prowess.
Yeah, we reviewed one of their earlier albums in an earlier episode, but I haven't listened to this one. But I remember it was fun to listen to, so I'll check it out.
Definitely one of those really fun records to listen to. um all right, you want to talk about our highlights? You want to talk about what record you want to highlight for this week, like something that you want to recommend people or that you feel like is a highlight for you?
Yeah, I'll. My highlight for this week is the latest Smashing Pumpkins album, which is called Agori Mori May.
Ugh.
This is kind of a return to form. It
Okay.
sounds like their earlier albums. It's a very good it's a very good album.
Okay.
It took me back to those earlier Smashing Pumpkins releases. As I said, it's very guitar driven, although it does have some of those kind of synth and keyboard elements in some songs. But overall, I was impressed with this album. I think they did the right thing this time because their last album was just
Horrendous.
horrendous. It's just
Horrendous. This one,
gross.
right?
But
It was this one, ATUM.
yeah,
Yeah.
we
Ooh.
we reviewed it and we slammed the album. And I think Billy Corgan listened to that episode and he took some notes down. He was like, "Those guys are onto something. I should listen to what they have to say all the time."
Yeah.
And then he made this good album, this Gory Mori May record. So my only comment is something seems a bit off with his vocals. Billy Corgan. Um, but overall,
More
it
than more
doesn't
than
wait
usual. More than usual.
more than usual. Like he still has that
Because
nasal
his
kind
voice
of
is like,
style.
yeah, because I mean his Billy Corgan's voice is like iconic, but like, let's,
Yeah.
call it as it is. Like, it's not that great of a voice, right? It's not meant to be like a good voice.
It's not. It fits the music though, but it doesn't. It's not like it's He's. I wouldn't say he's in any top singers list, but I like his vocals. Like especially, it works with the music. But
Hmm.
on this album, it sounds a bit off, like from the usual. But overall, it's a pretty good album and a good return to form.
I'll be honest. So I saw this
You
on the
listen?
list, and I avoided it. I did not listen to it because honestly, I was burnt by the previous record.
Yeah.
Which, but it's like, I'm glad to see that first of all the track list here is like only 10 songs. So I'm guessing this is a normal record, not like some weird rock opera thing that he wanted
No.
to do, or like some weird conceptual album. So
Yeah.
yeah, okay. Based on your recommendation, I'm gonna go listen to this now and check it out and see how I feel about it as well. So yeah, Agori Mori May. All right. Let me get into my highlight of this week. So something a bit different. I don't know if this is going to be considered blasphemy because it's not rock or metal, but it's jazz. But you know what? These guys, uh, you know, it's alternative enough that it fits the kind of mold of what we do, right? So
Hmm.
um, this is a local band. And this is actually the first time a local release is a highlight, right? Did we ever highlight a local release before? No.
I think this might be the first one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is the first one. Okay, nice. So Garwasha is a local band here in a jazz, modern jazz fusion band based in Saudi, um, that write instrumental music mainly. This is their first release, so they don't have anything out there, but they have been actively playing live in different venues and different events. I haven't had the chance to see them live, and I've always wanted to, but they've been playing mostly in whenever they play that, it's something that was out of my reach, right? So, in any case, they just released their new single called "Shami," and it's a 8 minute. It is an 8 minute song, right? I remember. Yeah, it's like around. Yeah, it clocks in at 7:42. Instrumental modern jazz fusion kind of song with like a lot of maqam. Like it uses scales that are maqam scales, like Oriental, Middle Eastern, Arabic sounding scales. Um, and honestly, I love this track a lot.
Yeah.
The guitar lick in there, the technical prowess of the band, the way they execute the song, the the time change, the signature changes, and the infusion of like these little jazz elements, modern jazz fusion elements that are complex, that add complexity and depth to the songs, but without taking you out of it and making you feel like, oh, this is something that's too aggressive or too kind of what's the word I'm trying to use here? I'm trying to like the basically it's not too out of reach, for the average listener. You can easily get into it. And it's such a catchy and hooky song, like that lick, like just gets stuck in your head. Very well executed, very well written song, and it goes places throughout the 7 minute course of the song. It changes and evolves over time in a way like it becomes, it's a bit progressive. But the only thing I will say is, although I love this track and it's my highlight, and I would recommend everybody to go listen to it. Um, the only I mean, at the end of the day, they've written the song, and it's their vision and their execution. I just feel like the song, the playtime of the song could have been halved. um I feel like there's segments of the song, yes, it repeats, and there are some slight elements of changes, small elements of changes to make the repetitions a bit more fresh, but I don't think it was enough. I feel like the big chunks of the song, the big changes or the big parts of the songs, the segments of the song could have been, put together in such a way where the song clocks in at 4 minutes, more accessible, just easier to listen to. And I mean, I'm a big fan of long songs, but I didn't feel like this song needed to be that long. But that's my opinion. At the end of the day, I still love this track, and I think everybody should go check it out.
Awesome. I haven't listened to this one yet, but I really like Garwasha. I think they're a fantastic band. I had the chance to see them when they played in Jeddah a few years back,
Oh,
and they
cool.
put on a great show. They just have a very smooth sound. Um, a very laid back, fun to listen to. They have a great stage presence. They interact well with the audience. Uh, so it's really they're just great to see. I'd highly recommend even seeing them live if you get the chance. So I'm looking forward to this one. I'm curious to hear what it sounds like.
Yeah, yeah, definitely worth a listen. Definitely go check it out. Very catchy, very great. Like pretty unique, and it shows off like their creative and strong compositional ability and ability to write music. um, Again, complex, technical, but without getting into their own head of writing, trying to compensate and writing something way too technical. The only thing I will say is that, yeah, maybe they got into their own head a little bit and wrote something that's longer than it needs to be. That's it.
Yeah.
So I think that's it for us in terms of our highlights for this week. For in terms of music, you wanna? How about we get into our topic for today, dude? And I'm actually looking forward to this topic. Like I mentioned on the top of the episode, I am a bit of a. I'm not gonna say that I'm a vinyl collector, right? But I've been collecting
Yeah.
vinyls. I enjoy buying records. So I thought this topic was interesting when you shared it with us, when you shared it with me. um, so let's give it a talk. Let's talk a little bit about it. So this article is interesting. I read through it. Why don't you give us a
Yeah.
little bit of a summary of what's going on here, or what are we going to be talking about?
So this article on loudersound.com, as you can see, it says, "Does vinyl really sound better than other formats?" So the author wants to set the record straight on this topic, on this debate, because it's an ongoing debate. What sounds better? Is it vinyl? Is it CDs? Is it digital? Uh, many music nerds out there would say, no, vinyl sounds better. The analog format is the real thing. It's the real deal. We've been, as a species, been living the analog life for thousands of years. So the sound you get on vinyl is closer to the real thing than, say, digital, which is very compressed, and it loses a lot of elements, because that's what compressed music does. It filters out all the sort of nuances you get in vinyl, and keeps just the let's say the basics. But I think vinyl has a lot of vinyl fans or vinyl nerds would say, no, it's that warmth you get when you listen to vinyl. That's what makes it so special. The sort of the clicks, and all those things you hear, that sort of whistling sound maybe that you get, the sound of the needle, uh, all those things. That's what's missing from digital. And basically, not to just to sum it up, he says it's all very relative, really. I mean, uh, it's a matter of preference. There's no such thing as better or worse, but it's all just a matter of preference. Some people enjoy uh, digital more because you get higher decibels on CDs and things like that. But I think you mentioned it on an earlier episode when you said you hated Spotify because of the sound, the quality of the audio isn't that great because it's very compressed, and it
Yeah.
reduces the files, but all of that thing. So, but it's an interesting discussion, I think.
Yeah. Do you? So I know that you listen to records. I know that you have a record collection, that you have a record player, and you listen to. Yeah, I see your stories, Mansour, where you post sometimes
Yeah.
a story of you like spinning a record on your record player. What are your thoughts on that? Like, when do you decide to listen on a record player, and when do you like say, you know what, I'm just gonna go and listen on I'm gonna listen to the compressed digital audio version.
So when I have like free time, I like to listen to vinyl, just switch off everything, and put a record on and just look at the artwork, and try to immerse myself a bit more into the music. But I do, of course, listen to the digital format when I'm working or when I'm on my computer,
Yeah.
when I'm driving or whatever. That those are, of course, I'm not anti-digital, but I think vinyl has a very special kind of experience. When I just want to switch off from everything and
Yeah.
just focus on that. You look at the artwork, you look at the liner notes, you look at whatever the art, the packaging offers. It's nice to see it, like even just the record spinning, and especially when it's colored. Although many vinyl heads would say colored vinyl don't sound worse than black vinyl. There's that
Oh, really?
also a whole
I
other
didn't know that there was
yeah.
this
Some vinyl heads,
conversation as a part of the conversation, because like a lot of these record
yeah,
companies,
something,
or like a lot of record prints are sought after because of their rarity and because of the different colors that they come in, splatter red, I don't know what, green, I don't know, clear
yeah.
vinyls and things like that. So it's interesting. I didn't know like there was a conversation about the quality of the track related as it relates to the color or the what it looks like.
Yeah, there's that. But honestly, I haven't really explored that part of the discussion. To be honest, I I wish I had the time to do it, but
Yeah.
um, it's an interesting topic, I
Yeah, I
think.
mean, listen, I mean, at the end of the day, so I'm full disclosure. I don't have a record player, right? I'm gonna get into that later, but to me, the lossless audio, digital audio, would potentially, to me, sounds like it would something that would sound better potentially than the record itself, the vinyl itself. What people are referring to, and this is something that's discussed in this article, is the analog warmth that comes with listening to a record on a record player, and the and that will depend on how much your budget, right? At the end of the day, record record listeners will spend thousands and thousands and thousands of reals on their equipment. So they will have the preamp, and the speakers, and the record player itself, and you could end up spending an upward of 20,000 reals, 30,000 reals, just so that you can listen to your records in this analog warmth, with this analog warmth or this perceived analog quality.
Yeah,
So obviously, if you're a record collector and you've spent this much money on your equipment, you're definitely gonna have some kind of perceived bias towards listening to records. I mean, I pulled up this article that I found really endearing, actually. Of a Apparently, there's this Japanese gentleman, this Japanese pensioner, apparently, who, in his pursuit of perfection, of listening to records in the most perfect way, just like any record collector would, buying like the Macintosh preamplifier, and spending 20,000 reals or 30,000 reals on these preamps that are really high quality. This guy went the extra mile, dude. This guy went and installed his own electrical pylon in his backyard so that he can get as he says here, to get the pure power, to get his own power source for his hi-fi setup, to get the pure power, not the one that's contaminated, that's used for the
yeah,
public. No, his own power source. And I just found this endearing, and just goes to show you how, like, audiophiles, by the way, is the name given to people who are really into, like, audio quality and, like, audio equipment and listening to hi-fi music. But, like, how the distance and the steps that they will take in order to make sure that they're getting the best. And I bet you, like, at the end of the day, he's not happy. He still wants to improve it somehow.
man, this guy is insane. I mean, I would hire him for sure, because my setup is super basic and missing many of those, uh, you know, uh, many of those gear, that, as you said, really bring out the analog aspect. But yeah, this is just another
Yeah,
level
it's this
of
is just so
insanity.
funny. And just to take it to the, like, my I guess my last point here that I wanted to talk about when it comes to vinyl and record collection, that I found endearing, because I wanted to make sure that I'm not alone in this. But so I love, for the same reason that you, Mansour, just mentioned, I love buying records,
Mm.
but not to listen to them, be, to because I really love the records that I love. I would love to have them as records, because they come in this beautiful, large, sleeve with the artwork that you can see clearly. So, for example, I have the Leviathan record, one of my all-time records, my favorite records of all time, from Mastodon. I feel like that's one of the most beautiful record artwork that's out there, and then taking out the sleeve and really reading the liner notes and reading the lyrics and looking at the artwork inside of the sleeve as well. It's just something beautiful to have. And obviously the record itself, the special colors that it comes in. I just recently also got the new Nails record, Every Bridge Burning, and that also has, like, some beautiful artwork as well. It looks great and looks amazing. um, so
Yeah,
I enjoy collecting these records, just, you know because of that, right? And at some point, I'm probably gonna I'm you know when I'm gonna invest in a record player, and probably speakers and things like that, so that I can listen to these records, um you know so they're not just like a collection like that. But Do I really need to? I don't know. I just really like having those records in my collections because of the artwork, because of the way they look, the beautiful artwork, and all of that. And all of these records now, most of them actually, like 90% of the records that I buy, come with a code where you can download the lossless audio version
Hmm.
of the record. So it
Yeah.
depends on the record label, but like it'll be like Bandcamp, for example. It's a code that you enter into Bandcamp, and you'll download like the highest lossless quality, which is probably arguably better than the record itself if you don't have like a nice setup to listen to it on your computer or on your phone or whatever. Um, and I was like, man, am I the only one that does this? And I found this article here where apparently it says here, this is on Statista.
Yeah.
It talks about like vinyl coming back, blah blah blah. But then here at the end, it mentions something interesting for me, which is that um, uh, blah blah blah. Interestingly, vinyl LPs appear to have become a bit of a collector's item for fans who listen to music digitally but still want to own a physical object. According to Luminate, only 50% of vinyl buyers actually have a record player. Isn't that crazy? That is crazy. 50% of record buyers own a record player.
Yeah, it's a bit it become a kind of a running joke that a lot of these hipsters just collect vinyl without owning a player.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, it's I don't know if maybe it's hipster of me, but I just really again, like I said, like I just love having these record, the record format itself, like in this big format, and just looking at the artwork while I'm listening to the music. But yeah, like you don't. I guess you don't have to own a record player to buy records. If you just love collect, if they become like a collector item, like these the article mentions, instead of buying
Yeah,
like Tool recently released a special skull. What was it? Like a collector item skull that you can buy.
yeah,
Remember that?
yeah.
So instead of buying that stuff, you can just buy their records and have that as a collector item. And you don't have to spin it or listen to it, but it's a collector item.
I mean, I personally, I inherited like a vinyl collection. So
Oh,
for the
cool.
longest time, I didn't have a player, and I would just keep growing my collection until I got a record player for as a gift. Uh, so yeah, I was in that club that didn't own a record player, just owned records.
Yeah,
Um
that's
but
really
then
cool.
when I started, yeah, I mean when I started listening to it, yeah, I saw what people were talking about, but I want to get into it more just to see, what the fuss is about with like listening to, a more deep and warmer sound. Um, but yeah, it's a fun pursuit, though.
Yeah.
There's nothing more disappointing than buying a vinyl album and it
Mm.
turns out to be just disappointing because those it's not a
You mean
very
like
it's a
the record itself or the packaging and stuff like that?
no, no, I mean the album itself, the music. It's
Okay.
when the music is bad, there's nothing more just because it look the one aspect of like buying a record is actually going to a record store and seeing what records are out, and that experience of going to like a brick and mortar shop with like other music fans and seeing, you know that in itself is also part of the experience,
Yeah.
which is what makes it special. Because just going on your on some streaming platform and checking out what's out there is not as fun.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Like that's another aspect of like if anybody has a chance of going to record stores. We have here in Saudi actually we have Bohemia Cafe, which has a record store as well. So if you have the chance, go there. Just go through record hunting and go through the records and things like that. See if you find something that you like there. But I guess to wrap
There's
this
one
up,
legit as well, right? Music and
what's
antiques or something like that.
yeah, Music and Antiques. That's another one. Shout out Music and Antiques,
Yeah.
Bohemia Cafe.
Yeah.
Both of them are record stores here that you can go and like do some vinyl hunting there if you want to explore that aspect. But so okay, let's wrap it up. What is your favorite record from your collection? That's a tough one. I know.
Oh,
It's a curveball. I threw at you a curveball. But yeah. What's your favorite record from your collection? And it doesn't have to be about the music itself. It could be
mm,
related to the way it looks, whatever, anything. It could be anything. It doesn't have to be about the music itself.
okay. So I'll say it's Tool,
Oh, which
Lateralis.
oh, you have Lateralis in your collection, huh?
Yeah, it's the packaging is different. It's made for vinyl. It's very shiny and colorful. Uh,
Yeah,
and the two discs themselves have the artwork printed on it.
yeah.
Um, so it's one of my that's my favorite. I'd have to say it's a must own for any Tool fan or vinyl collector.
Okay. Yeah, I actually want to get that record. I've been trying to see if I can get my hand on it, but it's like it always sells out immediately when they re-released it, like I think a few years ago, and unfortunately I wasn't
Okay.
able to get my hand on it. Um, just from the top of my head, I don't know why, but like I mean, I really like all my records, but in terms of packaging, in terms of the way the record looks and the way it's packaged, there's this
Yeah.
band that I really like called End. It's like kind of a power violence hardcore kind of band called End, and their records,
Yeah.
both of their records that they've released so far, Splinters from an Ever Changing Face and The Sins of Human Frailty, both have incredible packaging. Like it's a sleeve that comes inside of a sleeve and it's perforated. So like when you take out the artwork, it like it has multiple layers in there. Um, yeah, it's hard to describe, but the packaging itself and the thoughtfulness into like creating like a nice package inside of these records, it's really cool. And I really like those records. I'm sure like there's other records in my collection as well that have that I don't know from the top of my mind right now. I can't remember, but it's like these are really good packaging and really well packaged and executed records. And the records themselves, the albums themselves sound amazing as well. So yeah. In any case,
Yeah.
that's my favorite from my collection. Um, and I guess that's it, man. I can. That's it for our for. I guess. Listen, the point I guess here is that if you feel like you want to buy records and you feel like you're shy because I don't have a record player or whatever, but I really like this album or whatever, go ahead, do whatever you want, man. Go buy a record, put it in your collection, and it's a nice hobby to have, I guess, if you have the budget for it.
It's a nice hobby, and it's some people do it just as a way of supporting the bands they love. Like it's a show of support, I guess. But yeah, I mean, I'd like to hear. We would like to hear from you guys. What are your if you're vinyl collectors? What are some of your favorite albums on vinyl? Let us know. Why do you like it? Is it the music, the packaging? So leave your comments below, please. We'd like to hear from you.
Wonderful. And
Yes.
with that, it is a wrap. Thank you guys for joining us. Next week, I don't know if you stayed here until the end. Next week we have a special guest as well that'll be with us. So stay tuned for that. We're pretty excited about that. I'm looking forward to it. So uh, thank you for being here with us. And we will see you next time. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.